All right, sixth grade, we're finishing up here chapter 6 today, lesson 6.4. Tell whether the ordered pair is a solution of the equation, right, yes, or no. So this is pretty straightforward. They're going to be giving you these equations, y equals 5x, okay? So when y equals 5x, okay, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be thinking, well, okay, what do I want to do with this? Well, they give you an ordered pair of 2, 10. Now remember, ordered pairs are always written as x, y. This is the x coordinate, this is the y coordinate, okay? Now we know that with y equals 5x, a number right next to a variable means multiplication. 5x means multiplication. So if x is 2, we're doing 5 times 2. Well, 5 times 2 is 10, and this says y equals 10. So it would be true that 10 equals 5 times 2. This one would most definitely be a yes. Now if I look at this one, it says y plus 7 equals 5x. Well, y plus 7, if I want to start plugging in numbers, it says that y is 8 according to my ordered pair, because remember this is x, y. Y is 8, so I'm going to plug in 8. Well, that means it's 8 plus 7. Well, this is 5 times x. Well, x is 3, so this is 5 times 3. Well, 5 times 3 is 15. Sure enough, 8 plus 7 equals 15. So this would be a yes. All right? It's some sort of ant rolling across the screen there. That's interesting. Y equals 4x minus 2. All right, well, y equals 4x minus 2. All right, well, it tells me that y equals 41, so we're going to plug 41 in here. Then it says 4 times x. Well, x is 3, so this is 4 times 3. 4 times 3 is 12. And then it says, well, 12 minus 2. Well, I think that 12 minus 2 equals 10. I don't think that 12 minus 2 equals 41. So I'm going to say this one is a big no. All right, this last one, 8 equals y minus 3x, when x is 3 and y is 10. So we're going to plug in 8, y, it says y is 10. So we're going to plug in 10, then minus 3x. Well, if x is 3, that's 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9. So this is going to be 10 minus 9. This says 8 equals 10 minus 9. Well, I don't think so. I think that 10 minus 9 actually equals 1. So this also is going to be a no. All right, now we're going to take this to the next level and actually practice graphing some equations. Now here's a graph you're going to use. This is not perfectly straight and everything. I get that, okay? But it's neat enough and it's spaced out enough and it's organized enough that it can work, okay? So you'll remember, first of all, this here, the one that goes left to right, is our x-axis. This one here that goes up and down is our y-axis. Our x-coordinate is based on this line. Our y-coordinate will be based on this line. Now, the directions are going to tell you to graph each equation. And so this says y equals x plus 4. So I'm going to graph this. Well, there's different things that I can do. Okay? Y equals x plus 4. Well, first of all, when it says y equals x plus 4, this is what I call something being in slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. Now the time will come when we're working with negative numbers and all sorts of things, okay? But that's for a different day. Right now we're just going to focus on y equals x plus 4. Now, m is represented by the slope, okay? And b is what we call the y-intercept, where it reflects on the y-axis. So, when I think to myself, well, okay, y-axis, that means when it's on this line, where does the line cross the y-axis? So essentially, if you're looking at the y-axis and it's on this line somewhere, x has to be 0. So I want to point that out. So when we're dealing with the y-intercept, which is what this number is here in all of these equations, okay, that's what we call the y-intercept. That's what y is when x is 0. And sure enough, if I look at this first equation, y equals x plus 4. When x is 0, 0 plus 4 is 4. So sure enough, for my first line, my y-intercept is going to be 4. When x is 0, y is 4. Now, to make my second number, okay, what I'm going to have you do, we'll talk more about slope-intercept later in the year, but what I'm going to have you do is a little more basic as you're starting to graph equations. We know that when x equals 0, x is 0, y is 4. So that's my first point. But to make a line, I need to have at least 2 points. I need to have a place to start and a place to take that line to. So I want to use basic numbers, so I'm going to say, well, what happens if I make x 2? And say, well, x is going to be 2. Well, then I would do 2 plus 4. 2 plus 4 is 6. So I'm going to come down here, and when x is 2, I'm going to go up to y is 6. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to connect those 2 points. Now, when you do this on your paper, okay, you're going to use a straight edge, and I'm just going to kind of make it like that, and we're also going to make it like that, because you're only going to be using this first quadrant, okay? You're not going to use a full coordinate plane today. You're just going to use that first quadrant that's just positive numbers, but I'm going to have you draw a little arrow because I need you to understand that this line continues forever and ever in both directions. All right, let's look at the second one. Y equals 2x plus 3. So we got this one done. Y equals 2x plus 3. Well, once again, we want to look at that. This is what we call slope-intercept form when y is by itself, just y, equaling something with x. This is what we call the slope. We'll talk about the slope later. I'm not too worried about the slope, but I do want to make you feel smart and talk about slope-intercept form. And so this line has a slope of 2. We're not worried today what that means. That'll be another day. Well, we have a y-intercept of 3. The idea that when x is 0, y is 3. Think about that ordered pair, 0, 3. Well, sure enough, if x is 0, 2 times 0 is 0. Plus 3 is 3. So y is going to equal 3 when x equals 0, because 2 times 0 is 0. Plus 3 is 3. So my first ordered pair is going to be at 0, 3. Well, I'm going to come up here, and yeah, I'm going to have a bunch of different lines here, but for this sake of the video, it's okay. Now 3 is going to go right there, right between the 2 and the 4. So 0, 3, my first point is right there. And I'm going to go ahead and for this first line, kind of write the equation x plus 4. So we kind of see what equation that is. So I have 0, 3. Now, once again, if I want to be thinking about this, and I'm going to think, well, okay, if, let's say, let's just put something out there. We always want to use numbers that are going to fit on the graph, but let's say that x equals 4. Okay, let's just make x equals 4. There's not a right or wrong ordered pair to use. You just want to use one that fits on the graph. Let's say you want to make x 4. Well, so you think 2 times 4. Well, 2 times 4 is 8. 8 plus 3 is 11. So the ordered pair has to be 4, 11. So let's go to my graph. Here's 4. We're going to go up to 11, which is going to be right here between the 10 and the 12. Okay? 4, 11. All right, and right there. So there's 411. Now, when I come through here, I'm going to connect these two dots. You're going to want to use a straight edge, but for the video purposes, so I can hold the camera, I'm just going to try to make as straight of a line as I can. Now, when you actually make your graphs, you're going to make you're going to use a different graph for every line. For video purposes, so I can keep going, I'm putting them all on the same graph. So this one right here is the 2x plus 3. I'm going to go ahead and write that right here. 2x plus 3, y equals. All right, now here's an interesting one. Y equals 3/4 x plus 5. All right, well, once again, this is slope-intercept form, y by itself, so I know that this is the y-intercept. So I know that when x equals 0, y is 5. That's my y-intercept. And sure enough, 3/4 times 0 equals 0, plus 5 is 5. So my first ordered pair is going to be 0, 5. Okay? Now, when I have 0, 5, okay, when I have 0, 5, I'm going to think, okay, I want to plug in a different number. Well, let's try x being, just for space on the graph purposes, let's try x being 3, okay? So I'm going to go 3/4 times 3. So this is going to become 3/4 times 3 over 1. All right, well, there's no cross-checking. Nothing can go into 3 and 4 except 1. Nothing can go into 3 and 1 except 1. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 can go into 9 2 times. 1 is left over. My denominator is 4. I get 2 and 1/4. Well, so if x is 3, then y is 2 and 1/4. So that's the ordered pair that I'm looking for. So I'm going to have x being 3, and then y being no, correction. I made a mistake. 2 and 1/4. I forgot to add the 5. I knew that didn't sound right. Sorry. Let me rewind. I did the 3/4 times 3. That's 9 over 4, or 2 and 1/4. But I need to add the 5. That's my mistake. When I add 2 and 1/4 plus 5, I get 7 and 1/4. There we go. I knew we had to have a line that went this way. So I knew something was wrong there, but now we got that figured out. We did the 3 over 4 times 3, got 9 over 4, which is 2 and 1/4. We added the 5, we got 7 and 1/4. So we are moving right along. The ordered pair is 3, 7, and 1/4. So I come over here, 1, 2, 3, between the 2 and the 4th, 7 and 1/4. So here's 6, here's 7. All right, now 7 and 1/4 is not quite halfway between 7 and 8. So if I'm here at 3, and my lines are starting to get a little jumbled here, but if that's kind of 7 and 1/4, about right there, slightly above the 7, then I'm going to take my pen and I am going to connect those two lines. And that one is my y equals 3/4 x plus 5. All right, one more line. Y equals 3.5x plus 13. Well, sure enough, okay, when x is 0, y is going to be 13, okay? Because 3.5 times 0 is 0, plus 13 is 13. So the y-intercept when x is 0, y is going to be 13. So I'm coming up here to x is 0, y is 13, right there on the line for 13. Now, when I think to myself, okay, well, what about if x equals 1? Well, if I make x 1, and then I do 3.5 times 1, 3.5 times 1 is 3.5. If I take 13 and I add it to 3.5, remember, you got to line up your places when you add decimals, because this would be like 13.0. 5 times 0 is 5, 3 plus 3, drop the decimal straight down is 6, nothing to 1 is 1, I get 16.5. 1 and 16.5. So I go to my graph, I go over to 1 on the x-axis, and then I go up to 16.5. Well, there's 1. 16.5 is going to go about right there, because it's got to be halfway between 16 and 17, so it's got to be right there. Well, then I'm just going to take my pen, and I'm going to do what I can to make a straight line. When you make yours, you're going to want to use a marking. You're going to want to use a straight edge to make a nice straight line. But this is for y equals 3.5x plus 13. All right, we'll talk to you later, 6th graders. Bye. Graphing equations.